Hi, Dave Max 6. We are back at Fit Club Las Vegas, and I have some fresh new blood today. Joshua Knox, all the way from San Diego, made the drive to film on JayTV for the first time. Josh, welcome to JayTV.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful and humbled to be able to be here, talk to you guys, to be on the channel. It's something I've dreamed of, being on a channel like this my entire life, even as a kid. So it's like kind of surreal to be here and talking with you.
Even as a kid, you seem pretty young already.
Like a teenager, you think you're such a kid when you're that young. I guess I am still pretty young, yeah. I just turned 28 in February.
Oh, that was going to be my next question. So you're still very young, brand new pro. You're about 4 weeks out from the Pitsburgh Pro, and you reached out to me. Actually, we met here at Fit Club a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was probably about 8 weeks ago. One of my friends introduced me to Jay, and then we started getting talking. He told me to get your info, and then I reached out a few weeks, or maybe a week ago, and I was like, hey, I'm coming out, and then we made this a thing, and now we're here.
I love that. I love that we always looking out for new talent, from new blood. It's always nice to feature them on the channel. Jay is big about that. He wants to use the platform to really shine a spotlight on the up-and-comer. So tell me a little bit about you, Josh. You're only 28. You're about to go to the Pitsburgh Pro. You actually got your pro card last year as an amateur, right?
I actually got it in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I got it in 2018. I took the year off. I was kind of telling you off camera that I usually take a year or two off in between my shows I have to just make sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons, that I really want to be competing, that it's something I want to continue doing, and make sure I'm in the best mental, emotional, physical place to be doing so, and financially, because you got to make sure you're fully ready to be competing. So I did try to do my pro debut last year in 2020, all the shows in Southern California for Pro Men's Physique. They canceled all of them, so I didn't get to, so I had to reconvene and see what the next step was, and it just happened to be that the Pitsburgh Pro was the next one for me. So it's really cool to be full circle from where I got my pro card to now my debut.
I'm glad that you put so much thought into your career, because I think sometimes we kind of get on this roller coaster where we just get started and you end up a few years later, you don't even know what you're doing it anymore. Yeah. So for you to be so young, actually take the time to reevaluate your life and see if it's this you still want to go in that direction. Everything, it's very mature. Tell me a little bit about yourself and why you got involved in fitness and bodybuilding and why you decided to compete and become a pro.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I started in sports when I was younger, and eventually I found myself spending more time in the weight room than I did on the court or the field, and I just wanted to, continue into training. And I would say my story is similar to a lot of stories. As a kid, I went to a lot of different schools. I kept transferring schools. I would walk around with my head down, and I was bullied and, beat up and just so insecure. So I looked at these guys in a way to build armor around myself to protect my identity and my little inner child that I had. And eventually, as I grew my confidence and grew myself emotionally, it became a different thing for me. I really love the idea of competing and building and pushing yourself to the limit to see how far you can take yourself. And in the day, on the stage, a lot of times it comes down to, outside of genetics, who could put themselves through more discipline and work ethic.
I like it. So how old were you when you actually decided to start competing?
Well, 18 was the first time I actually went to someone and talked to them about competing. And back then, they're like, well, your only option is WBFF or bodybuilding. I was like, well, I was 150 pounds. I'm like, all right, I'll see you in 15 years when I get 100 pounds. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do from here. And then my first show was in 2015.
2015.
Yeah.
And you just basically you wanted to do men's physique for what reason? Why not classic? Or I don't think they had classic that late. But why?
Classic,
okay.
Yeah.
Would you like to do classic eventually?
If it, I feel like it's something I could definitely grow into, but right now I feel like my body and where I'm at right now is perfect for men's physique, so I'm going to stay there. But at the time period where I was, size-wise, was I think men's physique is a cool thing to get into. And I think that's what the division was, created for, was something that people can attain. Yes. And it was just made for, I think, my genetic structure at the time. So it was the first one I went into, and I've loved it ever since.
I was going to say, because, classic sometimes, based on your height, you may have to lose actually more weight to do classic. Some of those men's physique guys, they're big.
They are big,
they're not they're not like beach bodies anymore. I mean, the guys that are winning the Olympia, they're dangerous.
Yeah, if you look at the first men's physique to now, the first men's physique Olympia, you're like, wait, is this the same division? It's changed so much. But I think the men's physique competitors really like it. Just because they can continue growing and they can continue pushing their body further and long.
Yeah. What would you like to get out of this sport? I know and I'm asking this question because we talked a lot off camera.
Yeah.
And you're you have a lot of good reason for doing what you're doing. What would you like to do with this, and where would you want to take it, and what are you trying to convey to people that are watching you either on social media? I know you're trying to start your YouTube channel. Give me a little bit about that message for people.
Yeah, absolutely. So my channel and my reason on social media has always been a little bit different. I try to talk about the things that people are uncomfortable talking about. So I talk a lot about mental health. I talk about depression, suicide, people's drug use and their recreational use. I talk about sex, relationships, and really try to help men become better men, show them that vulnerability is actually a strength, not a weakness, and just kind of bring more emotional awareness to people out there. Have men learn how to treat women better, things like that we just don't necessarily have enough people talking about it. And I would say a big thing for me in the sport is just to get my name out there, get a lot of more interaction, so I can help people and make more of an impact. Because in the day, it's not about how much money you make or how much following you have. It's about how many people's lives can you positively impact.
I like that. Why was it something always important to you, and why do you want to convey that message? Because a lot of the social media today is very surface stuff,
yeah.
And based on how genetically gifted you are, or whatever your following is, sometimes the message is lost. And so what was it important for you to talk about those things?
Well, I think for me, there was no one out there really talking about it. Was a big thing. And, recently I actually talked about this on my social media. The last few months, people have been really expressing to me how much I just have been radiating positive energy and being positive. And you flash back to 3 years ago, on a daily thing, my mom was very scared for me because I was very deep down in depression and thinking about suicide and talking about it every day. And now I've been able to help myself completely out of that and not be depressed and be happy, and I didn't have to turn to any SSRIs or any extreme measures. And I know people are struggling. We have like the 22 push-ups a day for our veterans. We have a lot of things that have been happening during COVID. We've seen all over. Sometimes we don't even think it's a real thing that people are committing suicide, and we need more people talking about it. We need more men helping men, because 75% of suicides are men.
Oh, I didn't know that. But also, after the year we just went through, I think those numbers went through the roof.
Yeah.
Not just adult, but kids as well, because it's been such a tough year. I'm really glad you bring that up. And it's the kind of subject that people never talk about. It's just kind of like an unspoken thing, and it does exist,
Yeah.
So how was that past year for you, having suffered from depression in the past? Was it a tough year, or were you actually able to make the best of it?
Actually, last year was the biggest growth I ever had. I looked at the beginning of March when the quarantine hit, I looked at it as like, okay, I can either suffer and be affected by the outside, because at the end of the day, externally can't really affect it. It's all internal. It's how we react to it. It's how we perceive it. We can choose to still live a good life of gratitude every day, even if the world is on fire, right? So I was like, all right, how can I use this for my advantage? And I took the time to really work on myself, like do shadow work, do more meditation, do things to really grow myself internally and build myself, up as much as I can. And now I'm on this other side.
How are you so smart at such a young age? I mean, you seem like you're 50 years old in maturity. Have you been reading a lot, or where did you get some of your motivation to actually motivate yourself?
I mean, I had definitely a rough childhood that pushed me to, I guess I took the opportunity to make something out of it and push myself out of it, where I could have just succumbed to my circumstances and fallen into that. And I definitely do a lot of reading, but I've always been someone that just questions everything. Like, I want to know how things work, how people think, and how I can just make the best out of every situation, regardless of how I'm feeling. And I think the biggest thing for me is I always look out to help everyone else. And that's what brought me to being in so much pain, is I was never helping myself. I wasn't filling my cup up, but I was
always last.
Yeah, I was always last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're from originally Newport Beach, right? And you told me you moved to Oregon,
Yeah.
right? So that's a big move. We want to talk about that for a second, because going from sunny Newport Beach, Orange County, to Oregon, why did you leave, and why in the heck did you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved when I was about 20 years old. I had a little sister that lived up in Portland, and my mom was going to move closer to her. And I was weighing it back and forth, and I wrote a pros and cons list, actually. I was like, I don't know how to figure this out, if I should go or not. And there was like 100 pros and like 2 cons.
Really?
Yeah, because the cons are just son and then my friends, really. I mean, there's a couple other things, but mainly, go after, put yourself in uncomfortability, put yourself in a risk, and grow. And the changes from Orange County to Portland were so drastic, because in Orange County, I grew up in such a materialistic world. They judge you by the car you drive, the clothes you have, and they don't judge you by the character you are. Whereas you go to Oregon and people you sit down, you're like having a conversation with anybody, drinking coffee, because coffee is such a big thing there, and you get to know someone, and you're like, wait, this stuff doesn't matter. So it was such a big shift for me to be able to ground myself and get away from that materialistic world. And I just moved to San Diego just over a year and a half ago, and now I can come into it with a different limelight.
So what did you do in Oregon? What did you do for work? What did you do for 6 years there?
Yeah, so when I moved there, I started a meal prep company at the beginning of the meal prep industry, and it absolutely exploded. And
So you're a good cook?
yeah, I actually, the funny thing is when I started, I didn't know how to cook at all. But we just started it. Someone thought that I had a meal prep company, and I was like, yeah, I do. And I never even had one. I just started it, and we just blew
Make it
up.
till you make it.
Yeah, we were working with people from like the Trailblazers and all around Portland, and we had that problem. We were growing too fast. And I did it for 5 years. And at the end of it, I was largely successful, but I found that I was like still depressed. I wasn't happy. I wasn't getting fulfillment. I was in it for the wrong reasons. And that's when I just canceled the company, and I decided to just move to a place where I didn't know anybody, not to run away, but I was like, I obviously am struggling internally. How can I break through that? Well, if I put myself in a situation that's so uncomfortable, like going to a place where you don't know one person, you're going to be forced to grow.
That's why you moved to San Diego?
That's why I moved to San Diego, yeah.
So you're training at the gym,
Yeah.
which we love in San Diego. Very great culture over there. Tons of pros, bodybuilders over there, so it's great for you, right?
Right, absolutely. It's an amazing gym. I mean, the people there are phenomenal. I mean, when you go in there, you're like, wait, everybody is in shape here. It's so crazy of an environment. The equipment there, San Diego is just a beautiful place.
And the owners are awesome. They're very pro bodybuilders. I mean, whatever kind of machine you want, they get new machines for you all the time. So you actually moved there, you told me, just 5 weeks before the quarantine.
It's 5 months.
5 months, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, 5 months right before quarantine. And at that time, I wasn't really sure if I was going to continue competing. Like, I was really trying to figure it out. And then after just this last year, and then sometime during 2020, I was like, all right, this is it. I want to do it. And then obviously 2020 kind of happened. And now we're here, and I'm so pumped to be competing in a few weeks at the Pitsburgh Pro and just continue my career. And bodybuilding has never been my career. It's always been like a hobby to me. I always had other stuff going on. But now I really want to immerse myself in the fitness industry, and it's just blowing up. And like, you see so many more people just coming together again. Like we were talking about, people are coming together and supporting and making communities where I feel like last couple of years people kind of like separated and they were just like focused on themselves and doing their own thing. And now the fitness industry is really coming together.
I think if you have to see a silver lining, this quarantine really made us miss the gym and miss competing and miss all kinds of things we took for granted. So now that we can actually do it full blown, we're just like so eager. It's not just us, but so many more people got into lifting and weight training because they felt something was missing. We couldn't do nothing. So people really look forward to fitness and bodybuilding as a therapy, right?
Right, absolutely. And we look at this. We're here at Fit Club. It's just a beautiful environment. Everybody's so happy again just to be around the same people. And I think this next year moving forward, we're just going to see the fitness industry and even overall health just continue to blow up, and people are caring about it so much more. Whereas before 2020, even just the lifestyle, people just didn't really focus on their health, and we've seen how much it really matters.
Yeah. What are you doing? So when you sold your meal prep company and you moved to San Diego, what did you do for work in San Diego? What do you do over there? You train people, or?
So now I train people online. I have half of my business is fitness coaching, the other half is life coaching. So helping people break through depression, helping people learn how to expand their businesses online. And I just love helping people and helping people grow in their life, whether it be internally, spiritually, emotionally, in fitness or in business. I've been an entrepreneur since I was, 12 years old. I started going around selling candy bars to the rich neighborhoods, or I was like,
you sound like Jay.
Yeah, I was selling paintball guns or selling cell phones in high school. Like I was always doing something to make money. Even when I was started working out at like 16, I would go to the swap meet at 4 in the morning and go work every weekend so I could buy a tub of protein and pay for my 24-hour fitness gym membership. It's like if you don't have money, or if you're on food stamps or EBT, like I was, or welfare, like you do whatever you can if you decide you want to.
You have a great message, and I could talk to you for a lot longer, but I'm really glad that you reached out. I'm really glad that you seem such a positive guy. I have a hard time believing that you actually ever had depression because you're such a positive energy coming out of you. But I'm glad that you made it kind of your mission to use your experience to help people. And I think it's important, and you can never lose whenever you help others. It's so fulfilling, and it's much better than just making money.
Yeah, and one thing I think is a common misconception, when I looked at depression, I saw people that were just like, I don't know, maybe like just like walking on the street or just like, on drugs or something. But what we come to realize is like people that are very successful are depressed and are having issues, but they never talk about it. And that's kind of something that I've always was a mission, was like, I want to continue gaining like the external success, even though it doesn't matter, but to show people like in every environment, people are struggling with this, and we need people in all levels to be talking about it. And you're right, like a couple of years ago, I literally was like just sad, and just, you could look at me and be like, that's like a cloud over there. And now I'm like, like a light, and I'm so happy to be at this point and just show people that they can do it.
So what made it, because you, based on what you're telling me, going to San Diego was like a turning point for you. That's when you really kind of turned your life around.
Yeah.
Is it because of the location? Is it because of your people around you? What was it that about that time?
Yeah, it wasn't San Diego necessarily itself. It was me making the decision. It was like, I'm done with this. I want to turn internally. You know, I went to therapy, and then I did go to therapy for a few months when I was in Oregon. And when I moved to San Diego, I just really dove in. I mean, all their problems are internal. You got to really start doing some of that work, doing shadow work, really figuring out what are these issues inside of me, what are these, you know, inner child traumas or subconscious things that I have to rewrite, and then start figuring that out. So at the end of the day, it was just a decision. Just like anything, you want to compete, you want to start a business, you can't be stuck in analysis paralysis. You got to just make the decision and go for it.
Where can people reach you if they want to hire you as a life coach, as a personal trainer? Give your contact info and also your YouTube, which is not. You're just starting a YouTube channel, so we're gonna give the name anyway. Please go over there and subscribe because he's about to come out with a lot of good content. So we want to. Jay says everyone should have a YouTube channel. I think yours will be great. Yeah. You saw that video?
Yeah, I did.
Jake walking.
I was like, all right, Jay, I'm doing it. Yeah, so my Instagram name is Shredded Gingy, hence the red hair, like, you know, which is kind of cool because when I was growing up, I was always dyeing my hair because I used to get bullied for my red hair, and now it separates me in the fitness.
It's your trademark.
It's my trademark. There's like no redheads in the fitness community. So my Instagram is Shredded Gingy. My YouTube channel will be The Modern Alpha, just really helping men, teaching them how to be those old school gentlemen with a new modern touch.
We need that.
Yeah, exactly. Especially today, we're seeing it, and just helping men connect to their emotions more and just elevate themselves. And my goal this year is get to Olympia stage, and I visualize about it every single day, and I'm definitely going to get there.
Well, I hope you're telling me you're coming back to Vegas quite often. I go to San Diego sometime. I hope that you qualify for the Olympia, and to get you back on the channel as you're prepping for the Olympia, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you again so much. Thank you, Jay, for talking to me. It was actually really funny when I was talking to him. I introduced myself, and he introduced himself as Jay, and I was like, duh, man. Like, it was like so weird that he introduced himself in a way. I'm like, we all know you're right there on the wall, you know, but it was really cool, and I just want to say I'm really grateful, and I'm like honored to be on the channel, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right. Dave by Max 6 with Joshua Knox for JayTV, and we're out.